everyone. Grateful that
Yeah.
you have decided to tune into the American Baptist College webinar. And on this week's segment, we are here to talk a little bit and dialogue with our international students. Some have graduated, and one we also have is a current student. We have had to go virtual due to the global pandemic, COVID-19. Perhaps there's someone on this particular online database that perhaps wants to know more about American Baptist College. And if so, by chance, you could feel free to insert your questions in our chat box, as well as if you want any further information, feel free to go to our website at www.abcnash.edu, and or always you can feel free to call us at 615-687-6907. Today, we're grateful to have once again two of our international students in the personalities of Mr. Keaton Joaquin and Mr. D'Angelo Johnson. Before we kick off this particular webinar, I'm going to share my screen and just show perhaps something that may be a nice surprise, if you will, for Mr. D'Angelo Johnson, Mr. Keaton Joaquin. As you can see, some of these students that perhaps are on your screen are former students and graduates of American Baptist College. Perhaps the majority of the ones perhaps you can see in the middle is the chairman of the board, the personality of Dr. Don Butler. Some of our other great favorites, Reverend Martin Espinosa, Reverend Mr. Brian Espinosa, Reverend Chris Mackey, Reverend Georgine Jatterick. Others, of course, current student, Keaton Joaquin, Pastor Vince Johnson. Some again from our former students who came by this place called American Baptist College. We're grateful for their investments, and we are grateful for what they have done for us. So right now, I want to again kick off this kind of dialogue as I ask both Mr. Joaquin and Mr. Johnson this particular question, and I'm going to probably start with Mr. Johnson, and then afterwards, Mr. Joaquin, you can respond to this question. When you came to American Baptist College, you left your native home to come to American Baptist College. Can you tell our online audience where you're from and perhaps why, or perhaps what were the people who helped get you involved into American Baptist College? Why did you choose American Baptist College?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say good afternoon to the online audience. My name is again D'Angelo Johnson. The reason I came to American Baptist College, well, before I was set to graduate high school, I was looking around to see which college I would want to attend. And out of nowhere, I was afforded the opportunity to attend American Baptist College. And I started to do some research. I started to look up about the college, and I came across a YouTube video with a fellow Bahamian, Travis Richard. And when I saw that, I was like, I could probably relate to this environment, because, and I also saw that it was up close and personal. And leaving high school, my high school was kind of the same way. So, I was thinking, this might be best for me. So that's the reason I came to American Baptist College.
So, Mr. Joaquin.
Well, hello everyone, and good afternoon. Of also grateful to have been asked to join in on this live webinar today to share briefly with you my experience as an international student, also coming from Nassau, Bahamas to Nashville, Tennessee. There was no mistake of the decision I made to come to this this gem, unknown gem, but it's also very well known more than most people would think, especially coming where I'm from in the Bahamas. I remember the very day where I was when I touched base with one of those same persons you actually played in the slide earlier, Reverend Georgine Jaderick, who was also an alum of ABC, who helped me to make the connections needed to come and visit the campus for the very first time in 2013. I did that college campus tour, and I was offered a scholarship right there and then, and I accepted it readily because I knew that this was the place where I needed to be. Being a Baptist minister, called into ministry, there's so many Baptist preachers that pass through the halls of American Baptist College through its decades-long history. And I wanted to be a part of that history, to be able to walk in the very footsteps of civil rights giants like Reverend C.T. Vivian and John Lewis. And that's just the few names that are well known here in the U.S., but there are so many that have been a part of this institution's history coming from the Bahamas, like the Reverend Dr. R.E. Cooper Sr., who preached the very first Independence Day message in 1973. He's also an alum of American Baptist College. And so I'm proud to have said that I too sat where they sat. I sat where D'Angelo now sits, and I'm always grateful for the opportunity to have passed through these halls.
That's great. That's great. Mr. Johnson, you're a current student.
Mm-hmm.
How has experience been for you at American Baptist College? Perhaps how has it challenged you theologically? And what have you learned as a student, by chance?
Well, the experience so far, it's going good. It's an experience full of lessons, like it should be. It did challenge me theologically. I came from a Christian high school, so I basically I had a Bible class every day. But when I came, it was almost like I was being fed so much information. I almost had to take a pause and figure out, where do I really want to go? What do I want to believe? And I mean, at first it was kind of frustrating, but as like people say, I dug it out, and I actually came to this place where I know what I wanted for myself, and I knew what was best for me.
Mr. Joaquin, could you, share with us, specifically your experience? It's a little different. You're a graduate of American Baptist College. You also went to perhaps, that Ivy League of the South that I'm sure you'll tell us more information about. But perhaps, how did American Baptist College help shape you as it relates to now, as how it prepared you for graduate school? If you can speak to that, please.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I'm not just a proud graduate of American Baptist College, but coming to American Baptist College in 2013, graduated in 2017, it really paved the way for me to continue my studies with my master's program at Master's in Theological Studies at Vanderbilt Divinity School, which is also here in Nashville. I could not have been as successful as I was at Vanderbilt without having the firsthand knowledge and experience of ABC. Passing through the hands of some great professors like the Reverend Dr. Renita J. Weems, Dr. Lashante Walker, Professor Joseph Tribble, Dr. Dwayne Stallworth, Dr. Phoebe Dickerson, Dr. Jocelyn Johnson, just to name a few of some of the many professors that are still, some have left now, but some of them that are still here that I've sat in their classes. And the work was rigorous, turning in assignments on time, making sure I kept my grades up as best as I could. It all prepared me to go to, as you call it, the Ivy League of the South at Vanderbilt Divinity School, to be able to sit in classrooms with persons who have been to PWIs. The workload was certainly something that I would say master, because I was introduced to something at ABC that helped to prepare me for that kind of level of work. The books that we were introduced to as via textbooks here at ABC were some of the things that also helped to prepare me in my studies, especially during the studies for my Black Church Certificate program at Vanderbilt. That liberal theology, Black liberation theology, and all of that helped to prepare me to be able to accomplish that goal of finishing my master's degree just last December 2019.
Great question. Here's another question that perhaps I really do wonder. I'm gonna start with you, Keegan, and then I'll follow with the same similar question to you, D'Angelo, in your own particular context. My question now I wonder is, how has American Baptist College helped you in your own ministry, whether that is preaching or whether that is you working in church,
Sure.
Sound, engineer, media. I'm trying to be as diverse because I'm also aware that Mr. Johnson doesn't necessarily preach. But Keaton, perhaps you can speak to the ministry aspect as it relates again as to how American Baptist College has challenged you, and then Mr. Johnson, you can speak
Sure.
to the aspect of media and things alike.
Sure. Well, first of all, coming to American Baptist College's campus in 2013, it was in February when I came to visit. It was a shocker to me when I came to the campus. I'll be honest, to hear so much about the school, and when you get to the campus and you see just 3 buildings, you would wonder, like, what in the world did I get myself into? But it wasn't until I actually sat in the classrooms, and the campus was so small, which allows us to be able to have that one-on-one experience with our professors, to have that low student-teacher professor ratio, which helps to build that family, that core, which I think is very, very important, especially as someone who is going into ministry, who is in ministry as a preacher. It helps to build you as a minister, as a preacher, because you get to work with people one-on-one, to have that touch between individuals, living on campus as well, within that residential community, having everyone that loved each other, respected each other, looked out for each other. We policed ourselves, we governed ourselves. It was a wonderful experience. I think that any minister, any preacher can take with them as they pastor a church, because the church is, as you know, a family as well. And I think first and foremost, that was one of the things that helped to prepare me as a preacher, as a minister, to be able to speak to the issues for what people go through in their daily lives, and particularly the predominantly Black diaspora of our societies. That ABC helps to shape and mold us to know how to speak to those issues, to speak out and against those social issues that affect us in our daily lives. And so those 2 things, I think, helped me in my personal ministry, the family and the personal touch that we were able to gain, and that focus on social justice issues.
Well, to people who are not looking to go into ministry, and to people who are not necessarily religious, I would say to them, come on down. ABC is not just a school for preachers or pastors, and it's important to know that ministry isn't just being a preacher or a pastor. You could minister as a engineer, as a technician. You could minister as a musician. There's a lot of things that come under ministry. And also, I would say ABC is a school for professionals, the school for leaders. Is a place where you could come and find yourself, because coming out of high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. But when I got to ABC, the classes and the environment helped me to reach deep down within myself and find what it was that I was passionate about and that I am passionate about. And yeah, I would say come on down. It's not just a school for pastors and preachers and
Mhm.
ministers, but a school for leaders and professionals.
I think Miss Bell absolutely agrees with your statement, Mr. Johnson. ABC is a school um, for leaders. You tapped into and you started a question, Mr. Johnson, that was actually a part of a whole another question that I actually have. That I'm gonna start with Mr. Joaquin on, and that is, um, you're absolutely right. Everybody does not desire to be a preacher, and actually, everybody doesn't even desire
Yeah.
to be in ministry in the way that we perhaps come to know ministry.
Hmm.
Um, and knowing that, what would you say to help encourage someone to come to American Baptist College who's not looking into ministry? What 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 makes American Baptist College that special place, if you will, that makes someone want to come here? I mean,
Hmm.
we know it's the Holy Hill, but
Hmm.
Mr.
Hmm.
Joaquin, start us off with that question.
I can say, going back to just briefly what I said earlier, when I came, it was a part of being a part of a small family. I came from a small family back home in the Bahamas. The Bahamas is a small island country. Um, I have the best of both worlds in the sense that I came to a small HBCU, American Baptist College, and then transitioned easily, quite easily for that matter, into a large institution, Vanderbilt, that has thousands of students, and to sit in the classroom with 40 plus students in one class. You wonder oftentimes if the professor even knows your name. Now, luckily for me at Vanderbilt Divinity School, our school was small enough where we were able to have good relationships with our professors there. But I think that having that knowledge of knowing that when you get to ABC, you can sit in a classroom. The professor doesn't just know your name; they know your struggles. They know where best to help you to succeed as best as you can, not just in the classroom but beyond the classroom in life. ABC is that place, that hidden jewel that helps to refine the gift inside each of us. And that's not to sound preachy or churchy. Every one of us has a certain gift in us, and ABC is that place for preachers and non-preachers that helps to sharpen the tools that we need in order to survive in this daily world. When I came in a new era of ABC where there were new programs that were introduced. So it's not just for Bible and theology majors, which is what I am. There are now opportunities for you to get your associate's or bachelor's degree in entrepreneurial leadership. You can get your associate's degree in music appreciation and so forth. And so I would encourage persons, don't just think that because we're American Baptist College that we're just a school for ministers. There's now opportunities for everyone to be able to come sit in the classroom to get that basic training that you need in life skills to be able to make it in the world we live in today.
Well, I would say that American Baptist College is a place that um, gives you the opportunity to enhance whatever skills you may have. Um, as a musician, I was able to sharpen my skills at American Baptist College. As a photographer, I was able to do that as well. Um, um, I, I believe that. Well, I think that ABC teaches you life. You know, it helps you to be a better you, and it helps you to find yourself somewhere. You know, sometimes we don't know everything that we can do. You know, we could do much more than we think we can, and I think ABC is the place that brings that out of you. So
That's I think what you all have said, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Joaquin, really does speak to what American Baptist College is. That is, you come in perhaps with the expectation of one thing or the thought process of one thing, but you
Hmm.
definitely leave different, kind of
Right.
prepared for the multiplicity of things that kind of just life throws at you.
Right.
How to function, and perhaps in an area that may not necessarily even be your career field, if you will. I can definitely speak to that because I know Mr. Johnson, Mr. Joaquin, all of us, I think it's ironic. We all are working in areas that perhaps we probably wouldn't say we will probably thought that we'll be here right now. But because of some of the skills that we have, it kind of enabled to open these doors for us to at times work in higher education. And specifically, I know Mr. Johnson, you worked in times media, and that has enabled us to, I think that's the beauty of American Baptist College. It really does prepare you for the outside world. It really does the outside world. By far, I want to again tell you publicly, thank you, Mr. Joaquin and Mr. Johnson, for taking this time and sharing with us, especially your significance approach of, what it is to be an international student, and how the fact that you all have made it and is matriculated through American Baptist College is a testament that other international students can darken our doors and be just as successful as you are. Those who are perhaps watching this webinar, please want to even remind you to let you know about a great opportunity that we have coming that will start on July 20th. That is our Summer Bridge program. Our Summer Bridge program is a program that helps students who are perhaps in that process of perhaps transitioning from high school to college. Perhaps you want to, try to navigate the transition, and perhaps if you want 6 free credit hours, I'm going to put the emphasis on free, for 6 free credit hours. Please feel free to, again, to call us or go to our website at www.abcnash.edu, or you can contact our admissions office at admissions@abcnash.edu, or even feel free to call our office again at 615-687-6907. There you can even get more information. Once again, we want to thank you for this time. And once again, if perhaps you want to know more about our institution and the beauty of American Baptist College that Mr. Joaquin and Mr. Johnson has in an eloquent way explained in depth of what American Baptist College is, you can feel free to go to our website at www.abcnash.edu to receive more information. We'll definitely be back on next week, but until next time, thank you so much, and we hope you all have a great, wonderful day. Thank you so much, Mr. Joaquin, Mr. Johnson. You all have a great day.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.